Welcome to the Daily Deuce. I'm Gary Graves from just outside sunny and humid Louisville, Kentucky. And I had to pause there because there's another term to describe this kind of weather, and it begins with H. And I'll just say it's Hades-like, even though I don't know what Hades is like. But John, this is the kind of weather, my man John Webster, this kind of weather that you love. It's 90 something degrees. You would probably be out in it like John Fetterman in with a hoodie and all that other stuff pulled up over your head and enjoying it like a pig in slop, as you like to say.
Hey, Gary, hope you're doing well. Hope everybody else is doing well. Another
Good to be
exciting
back.
week in sports. Glad to have you back. Uh, Glad you're feeling much better. You got 90s. I wish I was there with you in the 90s. All I have here right now, Gary, is 85 degrees. That's just not that's
Yeah.
not that's just not
Wait
hot
a day.
enough.
Yeah. Wait a day because it's coming your way, bro. I mean,
Well, I'm looking. It says 85, 83, 81, 84, 84, 85, 85. I
what?
don't see any 90-degree days coming up, Gary.
What?
That's
How does
just
that?
not right.
Yeah, something's not right because usually what we get, y'all get like maybe a day later, but maybe it's blowing south or something because they were talking about heat indexes, or what's it, hit indices, plural, of 105 and higher here. So, um, you know, it's not quite. See, here's the thing. Here in Kentucky, we're on that line. What it to me, it's not south enough, but it's more Midwest and South, and we're on that line where you can get sometimes that southern humidity, but most of the times you get that Midwest heat, like St. Louis. If you've ever been to St. Louis in the summertime, John, that
Mhm.
is one of the hottest places you will
Mhm.
ever be, ever.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Oh, I, I have to remember who I'm talking to. But anyway, speaking of hot, John, the expectations for the Philadelphia 76ers seem to be pretty daggone hot. I mean, they are blazing since the announcement over the weekend that LeBron James has signed or is expected to sign a 2-year deal worth $4 million. Um, John, I have to admit, that one caught me off guard because I thought there was one of two places. I thought it was either Golden State or Cleveland. Philadelphia is one that kind of came out of nowhere. And as a result, we're now getting expectations and reviving that talk of like another super team that he joins. I don't necessarily agree because I don't think that the Sixers are a super team. I mean, yes, they got Jaylen Brown for, basically a pair of shoes, in my opinion. Um, and that makes them better. But adding LeBron, I'm not sure if it makes them a super team. I'm not sure, if this is one that, he's a piece, but I'm not sure if he's going to be that final piece. I don't think Philadelphia is a super team because I think that concept kind of went away with Kevin Durant when he was with Golden State. You agree?
It's an interesting situation that you have there. Congratulations to Philadelphia. Congratulations to LeBron James. Um, uh, Great signing on their part. 2-year contract, $8 million, $4 million a season. That's quite a discount for one of the best players in the NBA. Now, you mentioned super team. They have quite a squad there. You have VJ Edgecombe, you have Jaylen Brown, you have Tyrese Maxey, you have Joel Embiid, and you have LeBron James. It's quite a team you got. I think that team can win 55 games next season. The interesting thing is also a super team, and I'm sorry for pausing. I'm just thinking what I'm saying. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, Gary, and if I am, please let me know. Philadelphia has not really had a super team. Um, when Allen Iverson and Larry Brown and that team went to the finals, it was Allen Iverson with Eric Snow, with Dikembe, George Lynch. It was not a super team. It was led by Allen. They played their hearts out every game. I would venture to say I haven't seen a super team in Philadelphia since 1977.
Yeah, we
For
had
you
that
and me,
trouble.
Gary, 1977. For me, it was I was in ninth grade in high school. I guess what were you? No, I'm junior. I was in junior high in ninth grade. What were you about? 11th to 12th grade then? Ninth
Yeah,
grade, 77.
that was 11th grade. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that super team the Sixers had in 1977 consisted of Doug Collins,
Bobby Jones,
Bobby Jones,
Dr. J.
someone someone named Julius Dr. J. Irving, and someone named George McGinnis. The ABA had just folded, if I'm not mistaken, and that's how because Julius was on
I mean,
the
that's,
Nets and
yeah,
they were coming over, but they could not afford to keep him, so he was traded to Philadelphia. If I have my facts correct.
that sounds
Um,
about right.
so long story short, that was considered a super team. And they went through the regular season and nobody thought they could be touched. And they got to the NBA finals and they were up 2-0 and getting ready to celebrate a championship in Philadelphia. And they lost to this team called the Portland Trail Blazers, led by this guy named Bill Walton. So why am I telling all of you all this story? What does it have to do with anything? As my grandmother used to say, you can't count your chickens till they're hatched. So that's the first
Most
thing I'll
likely.
say. That's
Yeah.
the first thing I'll say. The next thing I'll say, that's a good team on paper. As we go through the season, Gary, you and I probably break it down even more than what we are right now. But that super team was, in my opinion, more in their prime because Dr. J was still Dr. J. George McGinnis was still, if not considered the best, one of the best to come out of the ABA. And that was a stacked squad that their second five could have started in the NBA, if you remember correctly.
Hmm.
Philadelphia, this super team you have, you're going to have to see one. LeBron James is still very good. LeBron James is still the one of the baddest guys around, but also LeBron James is 41 or 42 years old. Not knocking getting him, he still is a very, very, very good ball player, but he's still 41 or 42 years old. And at some point, Father Time comes knocking at your door. It knocks at everybody's door. And whether you answer it or not, he will come in and he will sit you down. I'm not saying it's going to happen now, but at some point, it's going to happen. Joel Embiid has struggled with health challenges over the last 3 to 4 seasons. How will that play out this year? So that's just my thoughts, just looking at it right now. There's so much more we can look at as it moves forward. Philadelphia fans, this does not guarantee you a championship, but what I do think it does, it guarantees you to be an exciting team. Everybody wants to see you. I think you'll be playing on Christmas Day. in a prime time game. I think
You'll
that's
be
what
on
this guarantee.
you'll be on a lot of Sunday nights, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. I think this guarantees you some very prime time slots for games. It has a, from the fanfare standpoint, it has a ringing to me similar to what the Washington Wizards did about 20 years ago when they brought a guy back named Michael Jordan. And there was a lot of fanfare, there was a lot of excitement, and they had a lot of games prime time. But in those 2 years that he played, and he played his heart out, and he, as LeBron James is now, still was one of the best players in the league. But it wasn't enough to get them over the hump. Now, do the Wizards have all the talent that the Sixers have? No. Sixers have a lot of talent. I'll definitely say that. But you got to mesh all that together, and it's an 82 game season, and there's a lot of pieces that you have to put together in this puzzle. So, Gary, go ahead and tell me what you think, man. I've had my say so without really saying much at all.
Well, like I said, it's what everything you said makes perfect sense. The reason why I want to pump the brakes on the expectations is everything that you just mentioned. You talk about Embiid's history of injuries and LeBron James's age, and I say that's one reason why you have to um, cool it with this talk about Philly being the favorites in the East. That's one thing. The other thing is you're in a division alone with the defending champion New York Knicks, who really aren't a super team by any stretch. I'm not going to say that they remind me of the 1976-77 Trailblazers that upended a favorite, but we saw what happened in that series in 5 games. That was a team that just put it together, and it took maybe one game. Actually, it took being down two nothing in the first round for them to kind of turn that light switch on, and it only turned off one other game, over the next 15 games or something, and they won a championship. A well balanced team. Um, I think you talked about how deep they were, how much he could go into their bench, and their role players just really stepped up. The whole team concept, much like that Portland squad. So, and the Knicks don't seem to be getting any worse. I think they really just found themselves this season. And you know what usually happens when a team kind of finds itself. Of course, this might be a surprise title, but when they find themselves, they look at a way to build on it. And I kind of see the Knicks as a team that you have to be fearful of, just because they now saw how good they could be, and I think they want to keep it going. Boston is still a strong squad despite trading Jaylen Brown to a division rival. I think, yeah, and I think because of that just like that cannibalization that could take place in that division alone is enough that you have to really think about. This is what they got to go up against. Okay, so that's two reasons to pump the brakes. One reason why I feel like the Sixers could be good is they have layers of experience and talent now that I think they don't have to rely on, say, their young superstar like Tyrese Maxey, who I don't think is in his prime yet. I think he's still young enough that he's on that cusp of superstardom. Um, Trying to think of who else with Jaylen Brown. Yes, he's got a ring. I think he's in that upper echelon. I don't know if you would call him a superstar, but he's definitely a star. So you've got that. Embiid doesn't have to play a whole lot of minutes, and I think now this makes it easy for them to kind of limit his playing time. And of course, with LeBron being 42, or will be 42, that I think he doesn't have to carry a team. I think he can be that Obi-Wan Kenobi type that, he's going to play his minutes, but I think he can really really tell these guys what to expect, impart some of his knowledge and experience upon them to be in the right place. One thing about LeBron, I will always give him credit for, he's always been an instinctual player. We always like to talk about guys that have a great court sense and basketball IQ. That is LeBron. And I think that's the thing at his age, he is still able to show along with just having just that physical prowess, that physical ability to play a lot of minutes. But he's on a team now where he doesn't have to do it. And I'm not going to say he's ring chasing in this. Just because Philly is not that team that's on that cusp. If he had gone to Cleveland, you could probably make that accusation, or because you could say that was part of the case, because that's a team that's like just about right there. He probably could have put them over the top by any stretch. Coming to the Eastern Conference, he makes he makes that conference a stronger conference. I think the West, we all believe that it's Oklahoma City, San Antonio, and maybe Denver to a different extent. But in the East, I think you've got the makings of a real dogfight, especially in that Eastern Division with Philly, New York, and Boston. And again, I think with Philly, one reason why you can feel good is that you don't have to rely on LeBron. You don't have to rely on Embiid in the middle. And I think that you can really regulate his what they call it, load management or something, to get what you need out of him and keep him healthy. And from my view, I don't think the Sixers are done. I think that they'll probably make one more deal at some point just for depth.
Well, they did get what's the kid's name? Katavious Caldwell Pope,
Oh yeah, oh
KCP.
yeah.
They did sign him, and he is a very good shooter. One of the things LeBron James does extremely well. I mean, he does a lot extremely well, but one of the things that I really enjoy is his court vision. He, with that ball in his hands, he'll be a great distributor for Philadelphia. He'll be able to make some very good decisions, and Caldwell Pope should get his fair share of open threes and open shots. You mentioned the Knicks. You still see the Knicks as a team that's contender. Well, you're the champ. You are the champ until somebody knocks you off. I think for me, a big shortcoming for the Knicks was not being able to re-sign Mitchell Robinson. I think he gives them something a little bit different coming off the bench to relieve Karl Anthony Towns. The rebounding he does, the defense he does. I think they signed Andre Drummond. Drummond is very good. He shoots a lot better than Robinson,
Yeah.
but I don't think he gives them the same defensive presence that Robinson gave them. That's just what I think. You flip it over to Boston. They made the trade with Philadelphia to move on from Jaylen Brown. They now have Paul George. So we will. All I can say is we will see how that works out. That will be very interesting. They also have Mitchell Robinson. I think that strengthens their bench and their inside play by having him. I really do.
Yeah.
Um,
He might be a different player too. You
who is
know,
this?
Mitchell Robinson. I think there might be some aspects to his game that you might see change with a change of scenery. And I mean, I don't know about at the free throw line, but as you said about him coming off the bench, he was that guy that just seemed to get that rebound you needed whenever you needed it, especially in the clincher. That's a intangible that is going to be hard for the Knicks to replace. And I really can't see anybody on that roster right as constructed now that can be that kind of guy. You know, just because of his size, just because um, essentially he had one job to do coming
Mm-hmm.
off the bench. You know, get that rebound. He could block shots too. That was an underrated
Mm-hmm.
aspect of his game. But he had one job to do, and that was to rebound. And he did that well. Not so much in number, but more in his timing. I've never seen, I've rarely seen a guy who could do that. And I keep thinking the Boston Celtics had a couple of those guys in the '80s. I mean, heck, I mean, I think Bill Walton was that one guy
Mm-hmm.
that could do it. So I'm trying to think what was it? ML Carr was he what with yeah with one of those Celtics teams? He just seemed to be a guy that could get that one rebound or loose ball that you needed when you needed it. So
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it'll be very interesting. Um, I'm quite sure we'll have more to say about this as we move forward.
Mhm.
But you know what else is interesting, Gary?
What's
The,
that?
the Major League Baseball trading deadline. My question to you: buy or sell for the Nats? Buy or sell for the Orioles? What say you, Gary Graves?
Okay, after now that my MLB TV package is working the way that it's supposed to, not quite the way that I wanted for the Reds, because that's the reason why I signed up. But having seen a fair share of Nationals games and looking at that team, I think they need to kind of stand pat because there's something about that young team between um, CJ Abrams and James Wood that it's crazy. I mean, you're talking about two guys that could end up with 40 home runs and 100 runs batted in each. You're talking about a lineup that's capable of scoring 8 to 10 runs in any game. Um, of course, and they've got starting pitching with Griffin. I I would hate to see them upset that chemistry that they have with that to maybe bring in another arm for the bullpen. Um, Ironically, most of their talent is at shortstop, and it maybe it's a good problem to have in a sense. But right now, what you get from a guy like Abrams in the infield, that kind of power, especially in the leadoff spot. That's the thing. You look at him, a leadoff spot to have what is it, 30 something home runs from that, and he does not look like a power hitter. He is just one from that left side that he just he's a very good pitch watcher, I guess you could say. He's got a great batter's eye. That was the term I was looking for. I mean, he drew 2 walks against Max Scherzer. Granted, Max Scherzer, was coming off a injured list, and in his last appearance at Nats Park. But the fact that he was patient enough to walk twice against the guy going in the Hall of Fame, especially a guy who knows how to paint the plate with pitches, to be patient against him when in some ways you got two guys wanting to challenge each other, says something. But it's more about with the Nationals, when you trade away all your young talent a few years ago after winning the World Series, all of these trades, you get all these prospects, they take it in the teeth with 90, 9,500 losses, for 4 or 5 years. And then here they are, they're over 500, almost 110 games in, which nobody expected. And I think you'd hate to upset that chemistry at this point where you could possibly get in. And everybody rightfully wonders whether the ownership will try to trade some of that because they can't afford to pay them, or they will choose not to pay them. I don't know. It's a tough one, but I would say if they're smart about this, they will hold on to their talent. They made one trade last week with the Red Sox, got rid of one of the regulars and got a left-handed arm who's considered really a good pitcher. So I think for the starting rotation that helps. The only thing I'll just say about the bullpen is that you just cross your fingers and just hope they can mature, and with the live fire that they have faced pretty much this whole season, that some point something will kick in and say, okay, we've taken the slings and arrows and all that stuff. Let's dig in here and get 6 outs. That's all you can really hope and pray for. Now, as for your Baltimore Orioles, they should be buyers because I think in the American League, they they're what, 5 games under 500, which that's not too bad to be at this point because they're really one hot streak from being 500. And once you can get to 500, one game after another, you start to string them along. Next thing you know, you're over 500 and you're in playoff contention. And in that league, being over 500 puts you in the playoffs. So I just don't know which players you probably know that team better to know which players that you want to see go and which players you want to see stay. And it's more about value and immediate contributions than say prospects down the road because everybody has prospects if they haven't gotten major league experience.
For me with the Orioles, it's not so much who I want to see go or who I want to see stay. It's really not that for me. It's really who I want to see come back.
And they've
Because,
got some guys coming, getting healthy now, right?
yeah, no. Um, Rushman and Basayo are both on injured reserve,
Mm-hmm.
injured list, whatever you call it. Think Rushman is eligible to come off the 29th and Basayo is eligible to come off the 31st. I don't think either one of them will be coming off at that time. Blaze Alexander has a broken hand. He's not coming back until September at the earliest.
Mm-hmm.
Keegan Aiken is gone for the year. He's got Tommy John. Zach Eflin is gone for the year. He's got Tommy John. Jordan Westberg is gone for the year. Guess what? He's got Tommy John. So, in the American League, it's a little bit different than the National League. You have teams who are below 500 who normally would be sellers at this point who are actually thinking about buying or just staying pat. You know, Orioles got a good win over Detroit. Need to get some more. They had a rough series against Atlanta. They lost 2 or 3. They could have won all 3. They could have lost all 3. That was a battle, and they played well. But I look at the Orioles, and it's just a lot. They play hard, but it's just consistency that is not there. They are consistently inconsistent. You lose a game where you have 4 errors. Then you win a game when you have 3 home runs. Then you lose a game because the bullpen fails you. Then you win a game because the starting pitching keeps you going. But then in another game you win, the starting pitcher fails you, who normally doesn't. So it's a lot for the Orioles. I don't know whether they should sell or buy, Gary. I honestly don't. I think it's going to go all the way up to August 3rd. I think the deadline is 4 o'clock on August 3rd. I think it's going to go all the way up to then because, you know, it's a lot of decisions. Right now, Seattle's ahead of them for the last playoff spot. Minnesota's ahead of them for the last playoff spot, wild card spot, and I think Cleveland has the wild card spot because I think New York and Boston have the top 2 wild cards. So we'll see how this plays out, man. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. My question for you is if they stand pat, do you think they've got a chance?
Good question. I wish I had an answer. I think they need you need an answer at third base right now. You don't have it. You got Encarnacion Strand playing there. You got Kobe Mayo, and that you don't have consistency there. That's one thing. Right now, behind the plate, you had Chadwick Trump, and Sam Huff, and they've proven to be very good defensive catchers and call a good game behind the plate, but they struggle at the plate, struggle tremendously. So I just don't know if they stay put. If they stay put, then that means they know that maybe Basayo and Rushman are coming back real soon because I think that would really help. Um, in the outfield, Cowser's your best outfielder. Straight up, hands down, he is your best defensive outfielder. But he can't hit a curveball. He can't hit a changeup. So, what do you do? Tavares, he is not a center fielder. Well, let me rephrase that. He plays better in the corner spots, right field, left field. Um, Taylor Ward, they got him to be a power hitter. He is not, but you take that away and look at the positive of it. He's become a more of a contact hitter and a hitter who gets on base. So which leads your power to be it's going to need to be Alonso and Gunnar Henderson. That's where you're going to get your power. Jackson Holiday has started playing. I won't say he started playing better. He's been playing better. He's hitting better. That's the fair statement. His fielding has been very good. I think he's starting to hit better, um, getting more good cracks at bat, and getting more good looks. So we'll see.
Yeah. John, when you were talking about players that can't hit talking about your guy that can't hit the curve or the changeup. A pitch that I'm seeing guys really struggle with here lately are those sweepers.
Mhm.
What's your opinion on that?
Good pitch, a lot of all the pitchers are using sweepers now, and it's working. It's getting players locked up or guessing and looking really crazy at the swings they're taking. So
Yeah,
I think it's really good now. And Colton Cowser struggles hitting that too as well, Gary. Just to
yeah,
be clear.
yeah. It's but I was saying, in fairness to him, and the reason why I was kind of laughing about that because I always think about this movie, Trouble with the Curve, a Clint Eastwood movie.
Mhm.
If you've never seen it, watch it. It's it's got a lot of great baseball elements to it, but of course, with Clint Eastwood movies, there's a lot more heart to it. But I just remember there's this one thing where, of course, in the age of analytics and all that stuff and war, when they were talking about this one prospect for all the power that he had, that he struggled mightily with the curve. And anybody that thinks that you can hit a curve ball hasn't seen one, just like a knuckleball. And
They're different to hit. And let me
yeah,
also say this for Colton
and,
Cowser. I've said he struggles at the plate, but if I was a manager, honestly, I would pencil his name in every game because he gives so much in the outfield. I gotta live with what he gives me at the plate. If he could hit 230, a dream would be 240. If he could hit 220 or 230, I would take that because his abilities in the outfield. He is the best Orioles outfielder, but he is one of the best center fielders in my opinion in the game. I I I I would have him in the lineup every game because that's how much he improves that outfield. In some aspects, it reminds me of Cedric Mullins. Cedric Mullins couldn't really consistently hit, but
that's a good analogy.
his outfield abilities were just off the charts, man. He did a great job in the outfield. I mean, if you're going to go back to when you and me were kids, let's talk about Paul Blair playing center field for the Orioles.
My
Paul
favorite.
Blair was
Oh,
never a consistently great hitter, and if you want to pinpoint it, a
he
lot
was
of
he
his
was but
strong.
he was a solid hitter. He really was a solid hitter. I
Well,
mean, a guy.
this is what I'll say. He was a solid hitter until, in my opinion, until 1970, 71, when he got hit in the head with a pitch. I think that changed a lot for him at being a batter. In the field, he was always one of the best center fielders I've ever seen in my life.
Oh
But
yeah,
I think a lot changed after he got hit, and that's going to change a lot of us, Gary. You hit me in the
yeah,
head with a baseball, I'm not going to be crazy about going up to bat anymore.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, yeah, with Paul Blair, and I mean, that's no hyperbole on my part. When I call him really one of my favorite, he might be my favorite Oriole. As much as I love, Brooks and Frank, but Paul Blair. Every time I think about those '70s Orioles teams, like Paul Blair was just a stalwart in the outfield. You got nothing by him, nothing at all. But yeah,
right.
I think yeah, you're right. You could make a trade off with somebody's hitting because that's something that time and guidance will improve. There there was something when you were talking about batting average, and I kind of chuckled because when you talk about you'll take, you know, 240 or something like that. What's so funny about that is that 240 right now this season, got you into the All Star game,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the American League. I mean, there are guys in
Mm-hmm.
the National League that are struggling to reach 250 that made the All Star team just based on their reputation, but I don't know if the pitchers are that much better than the hitters this year or what. But I think again, you have to you can live with that lower batting average if they can contribute in other areas. And I think again, that's the thing that will, like you said, you pencil his name in every game, and we'll take those odd like, oh God, why'd you string it? Swing at that pitch. One of those kind of moments. So that's the thing. But I think we agree maybe in both cases that it's probably stay the course and see what happens because you have a chance of still getting in there. All it takes, John, for either team is one good streak of like 3 or 4 wins together, and I think that can kind of get them, get them into contention, and that's what you need. That's all you want, really, at this point.
Gary, go ahead and take us home, man.
Well, let's see. Okay. We're about to enter the dog days of August, as they say, but the dog days aren't really dog days because in the coming week, we've got the start of NFL training camps. I mean, some are opening up this week, in fact. The Hall of Fame game, which everybody says, nah, it's preseason, but everybody watches that game because after 6 months away or 5 months away from football, it's like, oh, thank you, football. So there's that to look forward to. We still have WNBA. I'm trying to think of what else we have. Oh, John, MLS is back in play now that the World Cup
Mm-hmm.
is behind us, and of course the start of fall camps for a lot of college teams. From what I see, Maryland has made some good signings. Maybe that's enough to get them into contention. Excuse me, into respectability and maybe a bowl game because I'm going to be realistic as a Maryland alum, a Terp that I hold no illusions about them becoming a contender in the Big Ten. And no, what happened in Indiana is not going to happen in College Park because that's a whole different animal. And having said that, in these parts, again, as good as Indiana was last year and running the table and winning a championship that nobody expected, they could be pretty good. I do think you could see a changing of the guard in the Big Ten, even if they don't win it. That you see Indiana in that discussion, with the Michigans and maybe, the Ohio States and such, um, because I don't think that was a fluke. Because again, that was their second year in the playoff, and they won it all. And I think again that should be something that Maryland should shoot for. But right now, I still think you have to think about just getting the 7, 8 wins and getting a decent bowl out of that. And that's why we watch the games and talk about it.
Well, another great week in sports. Hey, thanks for watching us. Hey, this week watch some WNBA, watch some MLS, watch some tennis or watch some golf. But above all else, just watch some sports. Come back and see us. Take care.